morning, Grinders. Welcome to the DFS pregame show here on RotoGrinders. I'm Jordan Cooper, a.k.a. Blender Ed, Blender HD, if you want to follow me there on Twitter. And it's Monday. Mondays with McCool. You know what we do on Mondays here. We're not going to go over yesterday's slate. I don't even know what happened over the weekend. It's all a blur over the weekend. I was sick, so I didn't play any DFS. And good thing I didn't play MMA, because I probably would have lost all my money because only 2 underdogs won. And you know my strategy. I typically play a ton of underdogs. So maybe it was for the best. But we're here on Mondays with James McCool, the co-author with me of The Theory of Daily Fantasy Sports, 15-hour audio DFS masterclass at theoryofdfs.com. Also the purveyor of his models over at paydirtdfs.com. And I know I know we seem to be talking about this every week, but I mean, it's the number one thing when it comes to modeling the sport. And I know that you prefer to try to get on trends early. You try you take the risk on smaller sample sizes and see if you could catch on to something before the field can. Now that we're getting a little bit bigger sample size, do you have any type of findings on like how the spin rates of pitchers? We saw Santiago got ejected for who knows what in his glove or something. Who knows? I mean, sometimes they're checking these pitchers. They had that. I remember they were checking that knuckleball pitcher that gave up 1 million runs for the Orioles. It's like, what is he putting on? Like he throws a knuckleball. Like there's no like what else were you gonna put? It would hurt it, if anything, if you put anything on the ball.
I mean, 1, he throws a knuckleball, and 2, he gave 1 million runs. Like, why are you checking this guy?
Right. Why check? In fact, the other team should say, please don't check him.
Right. Yeah, just leave him out there.
Whatever he's putting on the ball, let him keep on doing it.
I mean, the short answer is no, I haven't found anything.
Okay. But the eye test, everyone was talking about, the only thing I know yesterday is that Garrett Cole gave up a bunch of runs.
Yeah, so I was going to get to that. There are some guys that it kind of looks like that Garrett Cole was a bad pitcher and then became the best pitcher in baseball, and then now he's a bad pitcher again.
He wasn't that bad. When he played for the Pirates, he wasn't that bad. He was an above average pitcher.
Okay.
Above average pitcher.
So he went from above average to one of the best pitchers in baseball to maybe an average pitcher.
Well, we don't know that. We don't know if he's an average pitcher now.
Well,
I also have to throw in, he went from the Pirates to the Astros. The Astros got caught cheating.
Yeah.
So who knows what else they've been cheating with over the years. They seem to take, like, we see that Astros pitching staff.
No, they turn pitchers into gods.
Right. So you always have that like in the back of your head, and then he goes to the Yankees, does perfectly fine until they crack down on this. He doesn't answer questions. And now, he still has good stuff, but he's not the 12K per 9 type of pitcher anymore.
No. And so like he's one of them where it kind of appears that the crackdown has really affected him. And I noted that. But then you had that situation with Julio Urias on the Dodgers, who he literally could not find the strike zone in like not his last start, but the start before that, could not find the strike zone. Walked like 5 batters, was getting hit left and right. Like he looked like he was done too. And then this last start, he comes out and he strikes out 11 out of 15 batters. Kershaw, the same thing. Like Kershaw kind of looked like he'd lost a step, comes out this last start, strikes out everybody on the moon. So it's kind of like there's this really, really inconsistent streak of, I think that pitchers have had to adjust to it. And I think that the good pitchers are still going to adjust to it. The guys like Kershaw, or DeGrom is untouchable. Julio Urias, he's been trained by Kershaw. Like those kind of guys, I think that they are going to have their hiccups and they're probably going to have speed bumps. And along the way, maybe their floor is worse. But I think that the good pitchers are probably going to still maintain their ceiling and still maintain their medians, whereas the pitchers who were completely reliant on substances and completely reliant on a little bit of a helping hand, they're just going to drop down to earth like Garrett Cole. So we don't know anything really yet because of all the inconsistencies. My guess, if I had to say one now, would be that over the course of the season, those inconsistencies are going to continue. The floors of all the pitchers are going to be lower as a result of it, but I think the good pitchers are still going to maintain their ceilings and their medians.
I mean, yeah, you have to admit that, like, if a guy, yes, in like his first start or something since the crackdown, maybe he tries to do something that he's not used to doing,
right?
And then he comes back and he adjusts to it. But like, you don't just turn into like with that Kershaw example. Like, are you striking out 10, 12 guys? I mean, like, that isn't an aberration. It's not like, oh, we found a new sticky stuff that they can catch type of thing. Like I think I'm more inclined to trust a long-term sample size and maybe basically increase the standard deviation. Yeah. So like my attitude is that I'm hoping that the field adjusts too much and says, are ace pitchers anymore? And they go under-owned. And I'm more likely to just trust the range of outcomes, knowing that, like, the variance is just going to be higher on starting pitchers now. We're so used to in MLB DFS, where the variance of starting pitchers is the thing that you could find, the one thing in MLB that you could be like, okay, the best projected pitchers over the course of the entire season, if I just take the top 5 projected pitchers and just build lineups with those, whether it be on FanDuel with 1 pitcher or DK on 2 pitchers, like, most likely I'm gonna win by the differentiation of bats and just, like, don't even worry about it. Yeah. What his last start was. I mean, look at Luis Castillo. He started the year horrible, and now he actually looks like he's Luis Castillo again. Yeah. Right? So, I mean, like, so was he using this? I mean, you would have to think the opposite. Maybe he was trying to use the stuff, not doing it well, and then just like, oh, okay, I don't have to do this anymore. And now he pitches well.
Castillo, I mean, his problem was that he just didn't have the velocity at first. In the first, like, month of the season, he was just down like 3 miles an hour. And when you're a guy who relies so much on, like, having a good fastball, and your fastball is only hitting 94 now instead of 97, like, you're kind of screwed. Like, you can't do the same things that you can do. So Castillo getting back up, that one makes sense. But I tend to agree with you that the standard deviation is probably just going to be higher. There are a couple guys. I mean, Garrett Cole and Trevor Bauer, I am willing to believe that they will take a step back, just because of the history of those pitchers and because of the history of, like, what we know about those pitchers and how they have acted about substances and how they have treated the entire situation. Like, I'm willing to believe that those guys will take a step back if they are not allowed to rely on those things anymore. And maybe there's more guys like that. I don't know. But I think that for the most part, pitchers are just going to have to adjust to it. Hopefully we don't see too many injuries come from it, like we did to Tyler Glass now. That still sucks. Like, having him be injured because of that crackdown midseason, it really sucks. But I do think that the standard deviation is just going to be higher outside of a couple very choice cases. Like Trevor Bauer pitches tonight, I'm willing to bet that he's not the same pitcher anymore, because he went from being like a good pitcher. I mean, he was a good pitcher.
He was a great pitcher. What do you mean he's a good pitcher? He's a great pitcher.
Right. He was a good to great pitcher before he started using substances. And then he was like, hey, I know that I can increase he literally said it. I know I can increase my fastball RPMs by 400 if I do this thing, but I haven't done it because I'm not the worst. And then he increases RPMs by 400 because he's the worst. And now it's going to come back down to where, like, he's not, I don't think he's a Cy Young era pitcher anymore. I mean, I think that he's probably maybe like a 9 to 9.5K pitcher at most. I don't think he's a 10K pitcher anymore.
No, but for DFS, look at his last start. Yeah, he gave up 3 home runs, but he had 10 strikeouts. Yeah. All we care about in DFS primarily is strikeouts. He got 22.1 Draftkings points in 6 innings. The start before that, 7 innings, 8 strikeouts. He gave up with 3 walks. My more concern is the walks.
Yeah, well,
the 4 walk. Like, we go back to his earlier this year. We could see in his first against at Colorado, 2 walks, then 1 walk, 2 walks, 1 walk, 0, 2, 4, and that was a bad start of his. Only 7 strikeouts, 2, 0, and then once we start getting into the early June, now we start seeing these walk numbers go. The May and June 4, 4, 1, 4, 2, 3, 4, and I'm more concerned about the walks for 2 reasons. One, obviously, it limits his ceiling. Because more pitches. Yeah, he has the longest leash in all of baseball. I mean, he could throw 115 pitches, but still, the more pitches that he's throwing, the less likely that we see here. He's going 6 innings, 6 1/4, 6 1/3, 6 2/3, but not like 8s, not 8s and 9s, those types of things. And also, once you're walking guys and you make a mistake,
it's only a matter of time.
Right, you're not giving up a solo home run. You're giving up a 3-run shot, and that negates 3 of your strikeouts.
That's the problem. I mean, that's what I mean when I say he's not a 10K pitcher anymore. But
in comparison, then who would tell me who's a 10K pitcher? If Trevor Bauer's not a 10K pitcher on a normal slate, yeah, he's not a 10K pitcher on a slate where DeGrom is on the slate. Sure. But on the other slate, why wouldn't he be a 10? Why would on today's slate? We have Trevor Bauer at 10-9 on DraftKings, Freddie Peralta at 10-5, and Giolito at 10-3. Shouldn't all of them be? Zach Greinke is 9,800. So you're telling me that Trevor Bauer should be priced under Zach Greinke?
Okay, but I mean, you and I both know that it's all relative of like the slate cost. But like, if I were to say over the course of the season, like he was,
yeah, but what slate would Trevor Bauer not be 10K? The only slate that I could see you making that example is when DeGrom is 11K, and it's like, well, then Bauer should be 9,500.
DeGrom, Yu Darvish probably, Clayton Kershaw probably a 10K pitcher still. Let's see,
not many.
No, I mean, but there's like 6 or 7. Like I'm forgetting a couple, but like
yeah, but on the course of the slate. I mean, look at the slate that we have today. We got Eli Morgan, Garrett Richards, Matt Manning, Dylan Bundy.
Yeah, I have
who's not going to be Trevor Bauer's going to be a 10K pitcher.
I have seen the pitching options today, and like slates like this, of course. I mean, there's an opportunity cost of fading somebody and just getting the raw points. I get that.
Right, Kyle Hendricks is 9,100. Trevor Bauer should easily be more expensive than that.
Zach Greinke being 9,800 is way more egregious than Kyle Hendricks being 91.
Well, the opposing total is only 3.3.
I don't care.
He's a magician.
He sucks.
He doesn't give up. I mean,
I know. I do not think that Zach Greinke is a $9,800 pitcher, and I would never pay $9,800 for Zach Greinke, no matter the slate. I wouldn't even pay
the slate. So if Zach Greinke was 9,800, and then we have Jared Eichhoff and Matt Manning and Garrett Richards and look at the.
No, man, I'll take my shots on the cheap guys.
You'll take your shots on $8,200 Dylan Bundy against the Yankees.
I'll just take my variants. Just give me cheap guys and give me the biggest.
Danny Duffy at 8,800 against Boston.
I'd rather stack against Greinke when he's 9,800 than play him. I'm not playing $9,800 Greinke.
Or do you think people are going to play Eli Morgan today after he apparently came out? We all played stuff against him the last start. When it was his first ever start. Like he's a rookie.
I've already heard like 3 people mention him. So
like 9 strikeouts in 5 innings against the Cubs.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Right. And now he's facing Detroit, which people we like picking on Detroit, and he's
probably going to project like God.
Maybe Eli Morgan's on the stuff.
Maybe he is. Maybe he'll be the next one to get ejected. Also, I do want to mention that I did say that somebody would get ejected, and you disagreed with me.
Why? Oh, that someone would actually get the.
Yeah.
Did I really think it was Hector Santiago though?
Well, I mean, yeah.
Out of all the pitchers, why would it be him? Out of anyone? Why?
No, I don't know. On a slate like this, typically, I'm probably going to have quite a bit of Trevor Bauer, just because. Who else am I going to play? Like I
thought you said you can't pay $10K for him.
I don't want to pay $10K for him, but like on the slate, I need the raw points. Kind of same thing as like, I don't know, man. If somebody is like 9,500 on a basketball slate where there's just nobody else that can get me raw points, but I don't think that they're like a $9,500 player, I just have to take the raw points somewhere. Like I have to be able to fill out my roster somewhere. And the bats likely aren't going to be expensive enough or like valuable enough for me to really get there. So I don't know. I'll probably play Trevor Bauer on the slate, but then I'm probably going to just like play roulette with everybody else and just limit everybody else like 22% or something like that. And just throw my hands up in the air, because slates like this, when you have all these guys who are either question marks or super small samples, or we don't know anything about them, or unknowns, and then just one guy who's like good, you play Russian roulette with it, and you just hope that you land on the right combination with these cheap pitchers, and hope that you land on the triple dong. And that's pretty much what it goes. I like slates like this because people are going to jump on Eli Morgan, and there's going to be like some weird chalk on people that don't even really deserve to be chalk, and you can attack that really easily. Like the Tigers are probably a great stack today because Eli Morgan is going to be like what, 35% owned or something like that.
Well, a great stack on DraftKings.
On DraftKings, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, of course.
That Eli Morgan's not going to be owned on FanDuel.
No, not literally at all.
But what makes but here's the question. You talk about Trevor Bauer. What makes Freddie Peralta any different from Trevor Bauer other than the fact that his past 2 starts since this crackdown doesn't seem to affect him? But who says that it won't? Well, who says that this is the start that Freddie Peralta gets blown up?
My guess is that Freddie Peralta is going to project better than Trevor Bauer for me. And like, I'll probably have plenty of Freddie Peralta. I mean, I don't have like biases against these guys for their name value outside of Trevor Bauer and Garrett Cole, who I know have been cheating. And like,
maybe Freddie Peralta's cheating.
Maybe he has, but he has not looked affected. I mean, that's the thing.
But you say small sample size. You say, yes. One start there, just who knows? Right. Urias is bad, and then he's good. So maybe Peralta's move is to be good and then bad.
Maybe, but we can say that about any pitcher. We can say that about
but does that mean people will jump on Peralta and go, well, I can't trust Trevor Bauer. I'm going to trust Freddie Peralta. Peralta ends up coming in 50% owned and then gives up 3 home runs and 7, and it has 5 strikeouts and is out in 3 innings. And it's like, Freddie Peralta's on the stuff. Like just because we didn't see it the last start doesn't. But I mean, I'm willing to just do what the opposite of whatever the field is going to do. So if you're going to tell me that I could get Trevor Bauer for 12% ownership, which I don't think I am,
no,
I'm more willing to just say that it's Trevor Bauer and whatever. She could strike out 12 guys. Like,
I can agree with that. I mean, I can agree with that. I just think that like people don't galaxy brain that hard. People aren't thinking about that the same way that you and I are. People see Trevor Bauer and keep in mind that maybe 35-40% of the field maybe is like watching shows like this and paying attention to people like you and me and like getting this kind of subjective information, right? And then there's a whole other 60% of the field that maybe isn't listening to that stuff. Maybe 20% of them are doing their own research and they're like, oh, Trevor Bauer doesn't look the same. Maybe 10% of them get lucky. And then 30% of the field is just like name value. Here's Trevor Bauer. So like that's why you're not getting Trevor Bauer at low ownership. It doesn't matter because like you said, he had plenty of strikeouts, but those walk problems, you and I know that when that whip goes up, that's danger zone. Like if he walks 4 batters, if he walks 5 batters in a game, those are no longer solo home runs. Those are multi-run home runs or multi-run extra base hits. And that's what kills pitchers. Those
are exactly the pitchers that I try to attack.
Right, exactly.
When people ask me, like, if there's, and of course I look at projections, but is there as far as the variance of a pitcher, is that I'll that's why like I don't typically attack Zach Greinke.
No.
Yeah, is he a great pitcher? No. But does he walk guys? No, he really doesn't. He doesn't walk people. Kyle Hendricks until like the beginning of this year rarely walk guys. Kenta Maeda rarely walk guys. But you see Dylan Bundy on the slate. You see Danny Duffy on the slate. I mean, some of these guys, Brad Keller's on the slate. He could walk 7 guys in a game. And it's like, that just gives me more opportunities for ceiling scores than guys that like, that you get solo. I don't want 3 solo shots. I want the team to score 12 runs because the guy's just been putting guys on base the entire game.
Right. But
that also, you have to look at the opposite side, is that if you're rostering pitchers that are high variance like that also, that you can't be when I take a look at in the bat right now on DraftKings, it has Trevor Bauer, floor 11.48. So that's the 25th percentile. 75th percentile is 35.95. Like, I think with this crackdown, like this curve is not as normally distributed anymore.
I'd agree.
As opposed to in the past. So it still exists. It's still okay. That these are the ranges of outcomes. But instead of seeing a lot more 24s, right, somewhere in the middle, like that 50th, 54th percentile, 58th percentile outcomes, we're going to see a lot more 14s and 31s. Like either he's on or he's not on. And while the median here may be 23, like maybe that curve isn't a nice smooth bell curve anymore. It's a little bit more lopsided.
Yeah. It's going to be one of those things where people look at pitchers, and I've kind of been saying it over the last couple of weeks of saying, well, I don't really feel like I need to prioritize any of these really high priced pitchers this week, just because you're going to
play.
Well, no. I'm just saying in general, I feel like the DraftKings algorithm has been kind of mispricing a lot of pitchers. We've seen a lot of pitchers significantly cheaper than they probably should be over the last couple of weeks. So I've been stacking the Braves, I've been stacking the Dodgers, I've been stacking the Yankees, I've been stacking these really expensive teams lately, just because I have the money to do it. I mean the Twins, like pitchers, I don't think like it's been pricing up the aces quite a bit. Not Jacob deGrom near enough. He needs to be 13K, but it's been pricing up the aces, but it hasn't been pricing up these guys who should be in the mid tier. They're sitting in like the 7K range or the 6,500 range when they should be like 7,500 to 8K or something. So there's all the savings at pitcher. I haven't felt that I needed to pay up. But on sites like
So
this,
today that means on DraftKings you're playing Wade LeBlanc and Jeffrey Rodriguez.
I have no idea who I'm playing yet. I haven't even run
It's at 9,300. Wade LeBlanc is 5,300 and Jeffrey Rodriguez is 4,000.
I probably am not doing that.
9,300.
Although they're probably underpriced. They probably
maybe not Jeffrey Rodriguez, but Wade LeBlanc. It depends on how much. It really depends on how long these guys pitch for.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, if you say that these guys are going to pitch 90 plus pitches, yeah, they're way too. No one should be priced that low to pitch 90 pitches,
especially
against Arizona and the Mets.
Yeah, especially against a like this, where like you could make an argument outside of basically Trevor Bauer and Freddie Peralta. You can make an argument that any pitcher on this slate is going to outscore any pitcher on this slate. I think
maybe not Thomas Eshelman. Maybe not him.
Who?
Thomas Eshelman. He's.
Oh, well, I mean, he's really, really bad. Yeah, that's fair. But and who's he up against? Is he up against the Astros today?
Yep.
Ugh. All right.
In Houston, at least they're in Houston, not in Baltimore.
I just relegate the Orioles.
What's up with that? Ever since I started playing MLB DFS, they've never had a pitching staff.
4 years straight. 4 years straight.
Like never, just like when John Means is like their ace. It's like, dude, John Means 3 years ago was the one I was stacking against. He's there. When Jorge Lopez, I'm like, he's not as bad of a pitcher as people think he is.
He's not.
And he's still a bad pitcher.
I know. I know. And I say, like, I actually, there's a running joke in the community over at Paydirt. We call him Jorge Paydirt Lopez because, like, I have been saying all year, like, this guy is not as bad as he looks. Like, I know he looks bad and, like, eventually it falls apart, but, like, he's not that bad. But it's the freaking Orioles. So, of course, he's going to give up runs and then get into the bullpen where, lo and behold, they put in man.
I can't. What? No, the music to my ears is when Jorge Lopez gets knocked out in the fourth inning and Adam Plutko comes in.
Yeah, Adam Plutko, dude. Every time, like he comes in and it's an automatic home run.
Right. That's like I used to be for the Marlins, right? But when Yui Chen would have a horrible 3 innings, and it's like, okay, let's get to the bullpen, and here comes Dan Straley. And I'm like, okay, my stacks are good. He's going to give up like 4 home runs this inning.
It sucks, man. Just relegate the Orioles. I don't understand how they're allowed to just continue to be what they are, like a walking Coors Field. Like they are the only reason why Gleyber Torres has a contract in the MLB. It's egregious. I really, really hate that they just can't field even a slightly competitive pitching environment. And
even the hitters, are they still playing Chris? Are they still paying Chris Davis?
Yeah, of course they are. But like at least their hitters, I will say, like their offense has not been the worst this year. They do have some pretty good hitters. Like Cedric Mullins is a legit good hitter this year. Anthony Santander has legit good power. DJ Stewart is not the worst. Ryan Mountcastle
Mancini.
Trey Mancini. Like their bats are actually pretty good, but they will never be a winning team.
Well, because they have to score 7 runs a game.
Right. They have to score double the league average in order to just score a win, man, because their pitching staff is just, it's like they're trying to give up runs. It's like they're trying to be the worst pitching staff in a 5-year span in history. And I just relegate them, dude. I'm just tired of dealing with them.
Throw them in the minors. Who cares?
And this week, like last week, it was like, okay, well, guess I have to fade the freaking Blue Jays because they're going to be 40% owned on a 12-game slate. And they get there, like Vlad Guerrero hits a home run, Marcus Semien hits a home run, Bo Bichette gets a triple for no reason. Like, and then this week we get the Astros, who are great again, even though they're, we went from cheating scandal to cheating scandal, and now the Astros are great again. And Jose Altuve is going to hit a leadoff home run every single day, and I'm just going to throw my entire laptop out the window. I don't even use a laptop. I'm going to find one and throw it out the window. It's just
MLB DFS has become, is there cores on the slate and are the Orioles on the slate?
Right. And today, if it was an all-day slate and you get to choose between stacking in cores or stacking against the Orioles, like those slates are okay. But they don't include the Rockies game with the Orioles, and now we just have the Orioles, and it's the Astros, and it's just it's so hard, especially for somebody like me. Like I almost refuse to stack if a team is going to have an aggregate of over like 120 just as like an individual stack. I won't stack them because why bother? I don't pass anything by doing that, but I need to get past
today.
that.
You also have to realize they're not as cheap as they used to be.
No, they're not.
I mean, we have most of these guys are in the high five. Or Alvarez is now 5,800,
and
Ray
actually
is 5,300. Altuve is 5,800. I mean, even Toro is up to 3,500 at least. He's not sitting there at 2,100 anymore. You still get the cheap catcher. They finally got him up to 4,400 and not in the 3,000, 3,200 or something. The way
it's so silly,
right? So, like, I mean, even on this slate, the Astros have a 6.19 current implied run total.
Wonderful.
But with your strategy though, if you're not going to pay up for Trevor Bauer, like, well, now you could afford the Astros.
Woo! Yay! Yeah, now I get to stack the 40% owned freaking Astros.
They're not going to be that owned. Come on.
No, they won't be that owned. They'll be owned. But there was actually a slate last week where the Blue Jays, they projected like far and away the best team in my model, far and away.
Right, but they're also like that on that slate on FanDuel. Like Vlad was like it was what, a 14-game slate, and he was 33% owned.
No. I'm talking about another slate where they projected as the best overall team, but they were so expensive that people couldn't stack them with other teams that were worthwhile. Oh. So like they ended up coming in at like 12% owned. And I was like, well, screw me. Like I would have stacked them if I had thought that they were going to come in at a third of the ownership that they were projected for. But they just it was like Marcus Semien was 5,600, Vlad was 6,300, Bichette was 5K, Teoscar Hernandez was like 4,500 or something like that. So they were so expensive, and there were pitchers that were worth paying for, and nothing in the lower ranges of pitchers that people just couldn't stack them. And so that ended up being a really weird, projections love them and ownership is supposed to be super high on them, so I have to fade them. And then they come in at 12% owned, and I don't even want to play that slate anymore. Like I don't even want to open my phone because I could have had the best stack possible on the slate, like with leverage at 10% owned. But I hate when projections get wrong like that, when ownership projections miss on things like that, because that just seems like something that should be caught by most ownership projection systems.
Well, I think on today's slate, I mean, I think it's going to be fairly spread out. For slates this year, we have multiple. I mean, we have half the teams that have over a 5 total. I mean, the Yankees, 5.79, the Indians, 5.28, the Royals, 5, the Red Sox, almost 6, maybe not the Cubs and the Brewers, the Cardinals, 5. I don't trust that. Do you trust the Cardinals? Anytime the Cardinals project well, I just have to, in my head, go, it doesn't matter what they projected. They never get there.
Cardinals.
Do they ever get there? Ever?
They do get there. I mean, they get there, but they get there in like bursts. Whereas they're a super streaky team, and that's because their best hitter right now is Tyler O'Neill. And then probably Nolan Arenado, and then I don't know, those two are the only two really good hitters.
Goldie's fine.
He has not been fine.
I mean, he's better than Yadi or Molina.
Yeah, sure. But I mean, if we're talking about hitters that I actually trust, I mean, I'll play Tyler O'Neill. I'll play.
You don't trust Lars Nootbaar?
I'm not playing Lars freaking Nootbaar, man. Sounds like a
trust Lars. What happened to Paul DeJong?
He's back.
Didn't he used to be good, and now he's batting 8th?
Yeah, well, I mean, they got Nolan Arenado, and I guess I don't know. He should be batting 8th though, because their top hitters are probably something like Tommy Edman, Paul DeJong, or Tommy Edman, Paul Goldschmidt, Nolan Arenado, Tyler O'Neill.
Dylan Carlson is leading off.
What's up?
Dylan Carlson.
He should not be leading off. He should be hitting fifth. But I don't know. I don't think that DeJong is like a top 5 hitter for him right now.
But I think the Cardinals have this total because, you know what the Diamondbacks are. The Diamondbacks are like the Western version of the Orioles.
They are, and their bullpen is hilariously bad.
Right.
Hilariously bad. So it's always worthwhile to stack against Diamondbacks, unless they have Merrill Kelly on the mound, and Merrill Kelly actually is pretty good.
He's not that good.
He's pretty good.
He's better than people think. He fits the Jorge Lopez model.
Pretty good. Yeah.
People stack against him, and they're like, "No, actually, he's not as bad as people think."
Right. Yeah.
I don't play him, but it just like he's not like a gas can.
I had 15% Jorge Lopez, just for the culture, just because I've
rostered Jorge Lopez this season before. I roster Jorge Lopez when he's pitching against the chalk stack,
which almost always is.
Right, where it's like him. I think I played him at like 1% against the Twins, and then he like got like 7 strikeouts in 5 innings. It's like, okay, great. 20% of the lineups are dead on one side, and I got a 1% owned pitcher with 22 points.
Yep, that's like
5,000 or whatever.
Yeah, he's like $200 or something on DraftKings.
Right.
So, yeah, I don't know. The Cardinals, they'll get there, but they're streaky, so they're going to get there for like a week, and then they won't do anything for a month.
Yeah, but I'll be playing them during that month.
Yeah, you will. And you'll fade them during the week.
Because I see their ownership. I'll look at their projection. I'll see no one wants to play the Cardinals today. I'm loading up with the Cardinals. And then they scored the 3 runs on 2 hits. And like, how did that happen?
Yeah, I stacked them up yesterday.
Sack fly. I'm like, come on, really? That's it?
I had plenty of them yesterday, and they were getting perfect gamed until the 8th inning. I had like 25% of them or something. Sucks, dude.
Doesn't that suck the most?
Yes, that's the worst. It's the worst when a team that you like are relatively heavily exposed to. I mean, 20% is pretty high. And so 20% of your lineups have literally not recorded a single point from their main stack. Not a walk, not a single, not a hit by pitch, a perfect game against them.
And then you start thinking in your head, you're like, well, the 6th inning, they could just score 9 runs.
Yeah, you got to hope.
That can happen. That can happen, but it doesn't. It never does.
A man has to have hope, Jordan. Because if you give up hope, that's when you've given up on the game. So you just got to hope that they score a lot of points. I don't know. There's teams that are like that, though. I was talking to...
The Yankees are like that.
The Yankees are like that. The Yankees are super streaky, which is...
The Phillies, I've noticed are like that.
The Phillies are a weird team. I think
the Reds, I'm not going to end up naming all the teams. There's some point where I played them for like 3 straight days and they've done nothing. So
right.
I'm going to have some bias in there that you're like, oh yeah, I remember stacking the Nationals every day for 5 days and them doing nothing. Oh, it's the Nationals.
Right. Yeah. Teams are inherently streaky. The teams that are the best teams in the league are the ones that are not streaky. So the more streaky a team is, the worse they are. The Orioles are the streakiest team in the world, but sometimes they'll put up 12 runs. Cardinals, sometimes they'll put up 12 runs, but teams like the Dodgers and the Astros and the Twins, like teams that are consistently doing well or more consistently doing well, those are the ones that are going to be like in the playoffs and in championships, stuff like that. But we don't really care about that for DFS, obviously. You can. Like there was one person, Anthony Amico, who had this idea of like, okay, before the season starts, I'm going to choose 3 teams. I'm going to stack them every slate. And those are the only 3 teams that I'm going to stack all year. And it's like, okay, cool. Yeah, you're going to catch the hot streaks. So like if you choose a team like the Twins or a team that was maybe underrated to do well this year, like the Giants or something like that. Like if you thought the Giants were a better team coming into this year than the public did, and you're just like, I'm just going to stack Giants every single slate. Just because I think they're going to be better than like Vegas thinks they are. People think they are. They're going to be like 2% owned forever. You'll make a killing on that, or you're going to lose, as much money as you would if you were randomly picking teams. So it's an interesting strategy. I like doing things like that. There are some teams that I almost always have exposure to. I almost always have exposure to some teams like the Twins. I have a lot of days where I have exposure to the Rays. I have a lot of days where I have exposure to the Tigers this year. I've had a lot of Tigers because they actually do have some pretty competent hitters. So It's been interesting this year to kind of look and see, okay, I'm hardly ever stacking the Phillies. I'm hardly ever stacking the Diamondbacks, but there are teams that I'm on a lot of days that don't even seem like I should be on them, but I just am.
Well, it used to be with the vomit stacks that Pirates, Marlins, Tigers, like every day.
Yeah.
Now I'm the opposite. Now, most likely, you give me an expensive stack that no one else could get, then most likely I'm playing them because at least the pricing has gotten a little bit better on DraftKings. They've raised the floor in some of these guys. We're not getting these 21. And I mean, Wander Franco is not 2K anymore. Like those types of things. But still, I mean, like the Tigers are still like. Jonathan Scope is 5,300, and then Akil Baddoo is 3,000. Like, there's no reason for that
right.
difference. Just because Scope has had a nice 2-week period, like he's not a $5,300 hitter.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it was like last year, I think it was David Peralta ended up being like a $5,700 hitter or something at one point in the season.
Right. And now he's like 2,400.
I had taken like a 2-week break from MLB or something like that. I was dealing with some work stuff. And I'd taken a 2-week and I come back and I see that David Peralta is 5,700. I'm like, what happened while I was gone? That this guy is 5,700. This is like a $3,900 hitter. Why is he 5,700? It's so weird, man. The streaky stuff. And I think it's weirder when guys like Kyle Schwarber, who has hit a home run pretty much every single game for what, like 6 months straight or something, right?
That's what it seems like.
Yeah. So, and he was still like 4,200 this last slate. That shouldn't happen either. Like the algorithm should catch him just home run, double dong, home run, triple dong. Like he should be at the end of this 2-week stretch that he's been on around 5K, but he's not. And he's not being rostered and he's not being owned and that kind of stuff. I think that's weird. And it does kind of make me think like there is something to buying into those hot streaks and kind of riding them as long as you can until they go cold. It's just so hard to quantify it. That's why I don't do it. I acknowledge that hot streaks are like something that maybe happen, but it's impossible to quantify. So I can never subscribe to it.
Right. Kyle Schwarber is like what is he today? 4,700, I think.
That's getting closer, but he should be over 5K.
But DJ LeMahieu shouldn't be 5,500.
No,
like that's I think that's more of the point. It's not like the raw salary. It's just like why is Jonathan Scope more? Why is Jonathan Scope 300 more than Shohei Ohtani? Right. Why is DJ LeMahieu 500 more than Shohei? Why is DJ LeMahieu priced over Aaron Judge?
Right.
Like why? Why does that happen?
It's so weird. And I understand there's a very, very heavy bias towards guys that hit towards the top of orders frequently, that are highly owned frequently, that are having success. So like that's most of what the baseball algorithm is for DFS. Like
Luis Arias on the Brewers is 5K on DraftKings. Why? Why is this happening?
Dude, it's weird. And like Kyle Schwarber, why is he cheaper than all of those guys? Except for Shohei. Shohei should be like 6,200.
Right. Mookie Betts today is 5,500.
Shohei should be more expensive than that.
Well, Shohei should be 6,000.
He should be like the most expensive hitter on the slate.
Should Lars Nootbaar be 2,300 though?
Yes.
What does he even look like? It sounds like something that came out of Willy Wonka's chocolate factory.
It does. It doesn't make any sense. So I said, who names their kid Lars? Nootbaar.
What kind of last name is Nootbaar?
If your last name is Nootbaar, you shouldn't name your kid Lars.
Well, I'm assuming ethnically that makes sense.
Well, okay, that makes sense. I guess in the Americanized version.
The DFS degenerate said, look at Bellinger's prop. Cody Bellinger against DeSclafani today is 3,900.
Why? That's so
Betts is 55, Muncy's 54, Turner's 52, batting cleanup, Cody Bellinger 3,900.
That's dumb.
Luis Arias batting leadoff for the Brewers against Kyle Hendricks is 5,000.
Kyle Hendricks is a $9,100 pitcher, by the way.
Yeah, but that's in relation. There's really bad pitchers on the slate. Okay, I get that.
It's just
why is Cody Bellinger the same price as Christian Vasquez? Like, why does that happen? right? Why is he Eric Haas is 3,800. So for 100 more, you get Cody Bellinger batting cleanup for the Dodgers.
Against Desclafani.
Dominic Smith costs more than Kevin Pillar costs more than Cody Bellinger today.
And watch, all of them are going to hit home runs, and Cody Bellinger is
go
going
0 for 4, of course. But Bellinger on DraftKings is probably going to be like 25% on this slate.
And yeah, he will.
And probably that's what he should be.
Yeah. At 3,900, of course he should be that expensive.
Right.
Or of course he should be that highly owned.
Right. What I'm going to do, I'm going to make that same lineup, leave 1,600 on the table and play Lars Nootbaar instead.
Yeah, dude, you gotta get different somehow, right?
Right.
It'd be a weird slate. I mean, I am excited for this slate, though. Like I said earlier, I like when there are a lot of pitchers that aren't really that good. I like the ownership has to go somewhere.
Right.
So,
but look at the totals. I mean, to me, this seems more like a try to not have landmines in your lineup. Like I don't even know if it comes down to the pitch. It comes down to not having a negative pitcher in your lineup today.
Right. And my point is that there's probably going to be quite a few people who have that negative pitcher. So like, let's figure out which one people want to own and hope that that's the one that goes negative.
Eli Morgan.
I'm going to be Eli Morgan. What's he projected for? Oh yeah.
I don't have the ownership.
Early ownership has him around 30%.
Jeez. Yeah, that's way too much.
And he's projected for like 14.
Right. Which is good for 6,200, but I don't know. Is that needed?
Yeah, I mean at 6,200, like I'd probably rather play Matt Manning against Cleveland, who can't score on anyone. I know that Matt Manning.
I want to play Wade LeBlanc
or Wade LeBlanc.
Arizona.
Yeah,
he's not going to pitch enough. He's only been pitching 2 innings, 1 inning. Oh, who knows?
Yeah, I mean, like although there's like these are super early ownership projections, obviously. If Giolito and Trevor Bauer and Freddie Peralta are all going to be about the same owned, which I mean, maybe they should be.
Well, it's quite possible that Giolito gets wiped off the board because there's possible weather issues.
Is there? Okay.
Right. That'll make it even more. That'll make it even more condensed on Peralta and Bauer.
Yeah. And my guess would be that Freddie Peralta probably gets more ownership than Trevor Bauer, just because Bauer is up against the Giants, who are a good team, and Freddie Peralta is up against the Cubs, who are not a good team. My guess is probably Freddie Peralta somewhere in the range of like 45%. Trevor Bauer probably 25%.
Eli Morgan is 35%.
Yeah. And then I don't know, like I don't know where else people go. People are not going to play Zach Greinke at that point.
We should play Zach Greinke. If no one
I'm not playing Zach Greinke at that price. Yeah, outside of that, I mean, there's that, and that's kind of the thing. Like, people are gonna latch on to Eli Morgan. People are maybe gonna latch on to Dylan Bundy. People like Dylan Bundy, the DFS industry, like that. There's gonna be some guys that are cheap and are going to be able to be exploited by people who want to attack them, just because people are going to own them way more than they should be. And slits like this are a lot of fun, especially when you can just pivot right away from them. You can go Wade LeBlanc. You can go Matt Manning. Hell, you can go Anthony Desclafani. Like, you can go a lot of these different pitchers as SP2s and just like roulette around them. If you only have one lineup, just pay for Trevor Bauer and Freddie Peralta and then just like punt a team. I don't know. I think there's a lot of value in fading these cheap pitchers that are going to get a lot of ownership, even though they're not very good.
Right, because they're not very. Because you could get another not very good pitcher and just hope they do better.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I mean, like Garrett Richards. I mean, he's a disaster, but he could be less of a disaster than Eli Morgan. Right. I mean, like.
Right. Kansas City's bad.
The only reason Eli Morgan is getting ownership, if Eli Morgan on those last start pitched 4 innings and gave up 7 runs, like no one would be even caring about him.
Oh,
he had 9 strikeouts in 5 innings.
You mean if he did last start, what he's going to do this start? 4 innings pitched.
Well, hopefully, that's what I hope.
I hope so.
I mean, I did the same thing with Alek Manoah, right? He had no one played him his first start. He did well, and then everyone played him the second start, and he got 3 fantasy points.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, and he was like 40% owned. It's like one start sample size. I'll let everyone else go down that rabbit hole.
Bro,
I'm gonna trust that.
the answer is Danny Duffy.
No, the answer is never Danny Duffy.
Except for who to stack against.
None of these pitchers I want to play.
No, I mean, it is a totally feasible strat here. Just like lock in Freddie Peralta and Trevor Bauer and just rotate 5-man stacks.
If you can fit them, I mean, there's only certain stacks you can't even fit them. You're going to be playing cheap guy. You're going to be playing a lot of Lars Nootbaar.
I will have a lot
of Lars Nootbaar one-offs in order to do
I'm going to call him the Granola Man. Sounds like granola bar, right?
Lars Nootbaar. Let me look him up. 23 years old. Born in El Segundo, California. Lars Nootbaar. That's not his full name. His name is Lars Taylor Tatsuji Nootbaar.
What?
Yes. Taylor Tatsuji Nootbaar. He grew up in El Segundo, California. Selected personal life. He's the great-grandson of businessman and philanthropist Herbert Nootbaar. Nootbaar's father, who's of Dutch descent, met his mother, who's Japanese, while they were student at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, whatever.
What is Herbert Nootbaar? What is his?
What was he famous for? Okay, let's see.
What's he do?
Herbert Victor Nootbaar was an American businessman and philanthropist who endowed to various organizations and institutes such as Pepperdine University. He is an Ellis Island Medal of Honor recipient. Nootbaar mainly worked in the agricultural sector, purchasing and selling grain and animal feeds. In the 1940s, he was the vice CEO of Ralston Purina, now owned by the Swiss company Nestle. He was the president of the National Grain and Feed Association. He was also the chairman of the San Gabriel Valley Council in 1954 and 1955. Nootbaar was a member of the World Affairs Council of Orange County. He and his late wife, Eleanor, created the Herbert and Eleanor Nootbaar Institute on Law, Religion, and Ethics at Pepperdine University. In addition, the Hall of Fame building at the University of Southern California, baseball team USC Trojans, and the Dido Field is named Herbert V. Nootbaar Baseball Office and Hall of Fame Complex. Nootbaar was an acquaintance of Ronald Reagan and donated to his presidential library in Simi Valley. He was awarded the Ellis Island Medal of Honor in 2014, which is given to immigrants and their descendants with significant contributions to the United States. He turned 108 years old on November 8th, 2016 in Laguna Beach. He died a month later.
What? Okay.
So that's Lars's dad.
Wait. Lars is 23.
And his dad was 108?
This man turned 108 in 26. Did he have Lars when he was 8?
Yeah, this doesn't make sense. Okay, hold on. Okay. No, he's the grand. Okay, Lars Nootbaar is the great grandson. Not even the grandson, the great grandson.
I was gonna say that dude is still running pure at 80 years old.
Right, like he couldn't be the son because that would he'd have him at like 80, right? 82 years old or something.
That dude is still a sharpshooter at 80 years old. Yeah, no. That's great grandchild for sure. That makes a lot more sense. Man, what an interesting.
Michael Dampier says Lars is just waiting for his inheritance.
Yeah. No, he's just playing baseball as like a thing to kill time, right?
Right.
Well, now I feel like I have to play some Lars Nootbaar now.
Well, he's only 2,300 on DraftKings. He doesn't project that badly. If I take a look on the bat projections, I'm assuming point per dollar wise, he doesn't come up that badly, right? Let me see. No, maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong. No, he doesn't come up that badly. 2.69x, batting 7th if he bats 7th, lefty against Faria. Maybe you got to play some Lars Nootbaar today.
Dude, I feel like
you got to play him, and you got to watch the game while feeding. You have to get some grains or feed the squirrels or something in the yard while he's part of the National Grain Association.
You know, I feel like I have learned so much about this man's history and this man's background that it would be a disservice if I didn't get some Newt in my lineup. You know,
right? You need some in order to get up there. You need the Newt.
You need the Newt.
Has he hit a home run this year at all? Has he done anything?
I don't know, dude. Let's go look at the stats. Hold on. All right, Lars Nootbaar. Game log. Let's see. He has not hit a home run. He has not stolen a base.
Perfect. Great. I can't wait.
Yes.
Can't wait for the guy with no speed and no power. Can't wait to roster him.
He's only struck out once.
Okay, puts the ball into play. Okay, that's
he has one extra base hit.
it's only been up for like a week or so.
Yeah, he did have a game with 2 hits.
What does his minor league numbers look like?
Okay, I'm going Fangraphs. Hold on.
Yeah, what does the steamer look like? I love it. We're going to spend the last 10 minutes of the show talking about Lars Nootbaar.
All right. So in his entire minor league career, he has hit 14 home runs.
Depends on how long if his minor league career is 10 years. That's not a lot.
No, it's 14 in. He's been in the minors since 2018.
Okay, 3 years.
He has give or take about 650 plate appearances.
Like, what's his ISO or something like that?
Well, his ISO for the bat X is 137.
Okay, so that's not good.
No, that's not good. His walk rate is pretty good, 8% or so. On base percentage 315, pretty bad. WOBA 304. Average.
To me, all this sounds like is Tony Kemp.
Yeah, he's the most average hitter on the planet, is what he projects for.
Just like a non-power kind of like he most likely bats 8th in a lineup and whatever. Is he a good fielder at least?
So is
he good in the clubhouse? Why do they have this guy up?
Because his great-grandfather was Harold the Great Nootbaar. Like, that's
of course his great-grandson. It's all nepotism.
Yeah, you look at this guy's background and you say, man, Lars Nootbaar, he's got to have good character. He's got to come from a hardworking family. His great-grandfather was in agriculture and part of a world peace organization founded in California.
And he was the vice CEO of the company that eventually became Nestle.
No, bought by Nestle. Bought by
Nestle, right? So it's kind of
Lars Nootbaar is a hard worker. He works hard to get on base. He does it.
Not. He's had family money this entire time. He has no incentive to do. Maybe he should be better.
To be fair,
he's been living off the Nootbaar name for too long.
He needs to make a name for himself. And today is the day that Lars Nootbaar makes a name for himself. Hits his first ever major league home run.
Yeah, let's do it. I mean, who are they facing? I mean, yeah, that could happen.
Let's do it.
Jacob Faria is garbage.
You heard it here first.
The Diamondbacks pitching staff, you know what's going to end up happening? The lefty's going to come in and they're going to pinch hit him.
They're going to pinch hit the great Lars Nootbaar? I don't think so. He stays in.
No, right. His great grandfather will roll in his grave. They do that.
What an incredible person. Yeah, this is going to be great. To be fair, in AAA in 2021, he did have 5 home runs and 93 plate appearances, which is a little above average. He did have a stolen base. He had a 158 runs created plus so far in AAA this year, which is pretty good. But so far in the MLB, he has 63 runs created plus for majors. But today's the day that changes. Today he hits a home run.
Today he's 2% done and he's in my GPP winning lineup.
Yep.
I'm pre-ordering the Lars Nootbaar jersey already.
18 fantasy points today for Lars Nootbaar. $2,300 locked in. It's gonna happen.
Like the lock of the day.
Lock of the day.
Okay. So this is what we do on Mondays.
This is what we do on Mondays.
This is what we do. But I mean, what else is there to talk about? There's baseball today. There's a slate going on. I'll be talking about, we'll review it tomorrow. Obviously, James, you have your models available at paydirtdfs.com, paydirt_DFS on Twitter. And obviously, you guys could pick up the Theory of Daily Fantasy Sports with me and James. 15 hours long. It's 15 hours. Structured education. The game theory of DFS. Theoryofdfs.com. And if Lars Nootbaar hits a home run today, I'm gonna have at least one lineup with him. You're right. You're gonna have a lineup with him, right?
I might lock him.
No, I'm not gonna do. No, I'm not. Right. I'm not gonna lock it 100% just for a bit.
100% Lars Nootbaar. That's a $500 joke. I'll get on board.
No, because he gets a 0 and he ends up killing. I have a lineup that's great, and it has a 0 from Nootbaar, a Nootbaar one-off. I'm like, come on, why did I play the Nootbaar one-off in that lineup that killed me?
Yeah,
right? I get steak knives. I come in 9th place or something because of a Nootbaar 0.
And you have like $2,000 extra in salary.
Right. If that happens, I go to his great grandfather's grave and I start kicking up some dirt. Tell Herbert didn't teach his great grandson very well. Okay. So as always, hit the thumbs up button on the way out the door. Thummy thumbs. Give me the thummy thumbs. Subscribe button if you're new here. Notification bell to know when we go live. Grinders Live coming up later today. And then I'll be back. I'll be back tomorrow, as I always am, for the DFS pregame show on RotoGrinders.com.